Okay, so I'm going to get started now. I've got this calibrated. There's a lot of this, it says it requires about 6 inches of fill.
Oh, wow.
That's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but what I'm going to do is start pulling this way and just see how much dirt I end up with. I think I probably will have enough to fill that 6 inches.
We're continuing to work on our swale, or our drainage project here, after moving the large hump. If you remember from our last episode, it got dark while we were working on the other end, and we didn't get a chance to work on this end here. It's still been tilled up, so it's nice and loose, but yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to get all this dirt moved and get everything just the way we want it. If you missed last week's episode, we showed you that there was a hump in this area where I'm working now, and then up here in front of the tractor, a low spot. And overall, we don't have much slope to work with, so this is going to be a challenge.
I find it difficult to set this up, and I'm not talking about setting up the laser specifically. It's not hard to set up at all. But really understanding what I need to do, I just find difficult. And sometimes once I visualize what settings I've got, I go, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to change something. For example, I've pulled a couple of loads here, and you can see that it's started to empty them. And I'm actually a couple inches higher here than what I've tilled. Well, since I tilled it, you know that I was expecting to be pulling soil here. I have almost no slope. In fact, I have a negative slope to right up here to my right, your left. And I'm gonna have to fill there. Well, mentally, I mean, filling a little bit's one thing, but 6 inches on this big of an area is a lot of dirt. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to try less and less slope here. I started out, we measured early that we needed 0.43%. I've now adjusted it down to 0.1%. And I'm going to run through here now and see what 0.1% between here and that deepest area I need to fill right up here. See what that turns out to look like. So I think what I'm going to do is 2 different slopes. I'll run very, very little slope to that deep spot. That'll mean I don't have to fill as much, and then I'll do a steeper slope around. That's my current plan. Again, learning as I go here. Someone that's got a lot more experience than me is going to be a lot faster.
Okay, we can already see there's going to be a difference. We're actually filling the blade here where we were emptying it on the prior settings.
Still going to be an enormous amount to add.
Last week's episode focused a lot on the technical details of how this blade works, or at least how I try to use it. So if you're interested in that type of detail, go back to last week's episode. Today we're going to focus on broader issues for the most part, just to try to explain what we're trying to do from a high level to get the water off our property.
I'm not worried about it being perfect right now. I'm just trying to get the biggest part of the extra dirt from the end up here just so I can see what it looks like.
When you see those green lines there in the laser receivers, you know that we're on grade.
Rocks are here.
So I got 73s on.
That's what I want. Well, I want the driveway to be even with the
You want
line.
it straight out here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when we get right, this, I don't have it fully defined yet, and then I'm going to flare it out right here a little more at the end. So line it up straight with that.
Yeah, so right in
And
here.
then probably another width
Yeah.
right beside it,
Okay.
and then see how much we have left. These guys have done this a time or two. That's good.
Tim's gonna move this little pile he made so that the next load the guy won't have to try to drive over that hump.
I can't do it as well as you can.
Oh, but that works great.
We had a second load delivered and spread essentially right over the top of this one. Hope it's enough.
So I've graded the swale there, potential swale, I guess, to that 0.1% slope. And what I'm seeing is that I've got an area on this side of it between the tractor and the swale there that is still lower. So I'm going to have to put some dirt in there. Thankfully, we just happen to have a spot where we can get some dirt. So I'm disking here, and I'm going to have to pull with the box blade some more of that dirt in there. We've been removing a little bit of this at a time to build up some other areas and to reduce the slope on this hump. And at this point, we're pretty happy with the looks. We think that the hump is largely removed. So now it's just a matter of, I need a little bit more dirt, so I'm borrowing a little more from it. Yeah, I mean, we can take all we want from it, but it's not like I feel that it's important to remove anymore at this stage. Some folks suggested that I use box blade with the scarifiers and do the digging that way. Well, this is just a lot easier. The disc does it so much more easily, and it's bigger. Tractor's bigger, so it's, it doesn't tax the tractor to dig it up. Just makes a much nicer approach. And I don't get very many chances to use a disc like this, so I want to use every one I can. Additionally, the pull type box blades that I have don't have any scarifiers. So I'll take this dirt into the area there between the swale, the grassy area there between the swale. That'll take a lot of dirt to kind of slope that off like we're thinking. It'll also take a good while to do it. I find that after I disc an area like this, I really don't know how much I take off. Probably in the 2-inch range. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but probably about 2 inches. It takes me a lot of times 2 to 3 hours to pull that somewhere with a box blade. That 2 to 3 hours is pretty critical today. I was really wanting to get this done today and get it seeded, and I don't know if I have enough time. I didn't expect this. I guess I thought that we would have enough slope here to be able to pull this off, but it doesn't look like we do, and I don't want water standing here for the next several years just because I was lazy today. Okay, I think I'll go get the box blade. I might disc this area one more time. There was one tiny little hump that Christy and I saw here the other night. Here we are. I think this is the first time you guys have seen this one work. My neighbor Chris wants to call it Rudolph. I'm not sure why. I think he says we'll put a red nose on it and it could be one of your Christmas gifts.
One of mine? No.
Wrap it all up for Christmas for you?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Whether we'll sell it, we'll probably sell it at some point, but we'll see how it goes. Again, it's a 3520. The prior generation of the 3039R. It's a 2011 model, one owner, in northern Illinois. The worst damage I see on it appears to be caused by salt. I think it did a lot of snow blade work in the winter. The engine runs just like new, just purrs. It's really nice. It has not used any oil yet. I think I've put 3 or 4 hours on it at this point. And I have not noticed any oil usage to date. You know, I'll keep watching it. Where's the four-wheel drive? There it is.
Folks, you've heard my complaints about box blades over the years. Well, I'm finding this pull-type box blade to solve almost all of those, if not all of the complaints I have with box blades. As you watch this, I want you to notice just how easily it is to release a load out of the blade and yet not leave humps. Just to be able to smoothly release it, distribute it over a long period. Look at that. I just find that to be incredibly easy to do with this blade.
I think this machine rides a little bit rougher than my 3046R. But Randall said the same thing about his cab 3320. So I'm not sure that's unique to this particular tractor. It may simply be because I have rim guard and heavy wheel weights on that other machine. I think you can see what we're doing here. We're going to fill in this area here a little bit and get a little bit of slope in it. We're continuing to encourage that water to get off of our property.
I mentioned in the last episode how not having weight on the box blade seems to make it actually work better. It doesn't try to be too aggressive when it digs in. And you can see that once it gets full, then it just slides right over the rest of the material and just makes it easy to move dirt to where you want to go. Check it out at c5mfg.com and mention Tractor Time with Tim so you can get a discount. I really like this attachment. It really helps with this type of project.
You still on? I could have used the 1025R and that box blade to do this job, but this one just pulls it so much better. And this is a bigger blade. This is a 6-foot blade. The 1025R is using a 5-foot blade. So given my time constraints, I'm trying to be, well, as efficient as I can be. You guys are going to say, well, that's ridiculous. Can't be efficient with a compact tractor. Well, okay. So be it. there's our drainage swale. Now this end down here has only 0.1% of slope. Very little slope, and I understand that's not enough, but that's all I got. And even with that, I had to fill quite a lot. I guess you could ask why I didn't fill more. Well, we can't. There's other areas of the yard that just can't take any more fill than that. So I did about all I could when it came to filling here behind me, and that's just kind of what we're up against. I think this is going to work. Now I want to tell you a little bit about our plans for the pond before I leave you in this episode. We're going to try to work on the pond next year. Of course, many plans never happen like they intend, but our intent is to work on the pond next year. Meanwhile, we're going to try to keep it dry this winter. And that's not because we really care, other than we want to see if we can keep this runoff water from going into the pond. If we can keep all the runoff from going into the pond, then we have successfully dealt with our main drainage issues. Then next year we'll worry about digging out the pond or filling it in if that's what we decide to do. And if we are going to dig it out, we'll worry about where we're going to get water supply to fill it. We've got some ideas on that, but we'll deal with all that next year. What we want to determine this winter is, can we keep the water out of it? Can we keep the excess water out of it? Get it draining on down through this swale, the other swale that we created last fall. That's the plan we're headed for. Now, we're going to finish all of this hump in our next episode. We're going to do some more grading on it. This is really hard here. We need to dig it up a little bit. There's no way I could get seed to grow on this. We'll disc it or till it or both. Probably pick up some rocks, and power rake and seed, all coming up in the next episode. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim.
Go into the rocks, hide in the ground from the fearful presence of the Lord and the splendor of his majesty. The eyes of the arrogant will be humbled, and human pride brought low. The Lord alone will be exalted in that day.
A little windy out here. We'll see how this works. Right, Droney? I think I'll call you DJ.
I'm trying to find a